What if the secret to living a stronger, freer, more fulfilling life isn't in caring more, but in caring less? Not less about your family, your goals, or your principles, but less about the things that steal your energy and enslave your mind. That's the central paradox of Stoic wisdom. Um, when you stop worrying about every opinion, every possible failure, every attempt to control the uncontrollable, you don't become weaker, you become unshakable. This essay is an expanded reflection on that truth. Inspired by the video, When You Stop Caring, Everything Falls into Place, I'll weave its core lessons with modern applications, personal experiences, and practical insights. Together, these threads create a tapestry of nearly 5,000 words, long enough to feel like a guidebook rather than a quick motivation clip. Chapter 1: The Trap of Overcaring. Most people live inside invisible cages. Cages built not by physical walls, but by worry. What will they think of me? Did I make the wrong choice? If I fail, will people laugh? This constant cycle of self-consciousness doesn't protect us, it weakens us. The Stoics noticed this 2,000 years ago, and the pattern hasn't changed. The more you obsess over how the world sees you, the less you actually live. Personally, I have seen this in my own career. Early in my 20s, I would reread every email before sending it, sometimes 10 or 15 times, worried about sounding unprofessional. The cost wasn't just wasted minutes, it was the erosion of confidence. I was outsourcing my sense of worth to the imagined judgment of strangers. The reality? No one else was thinking about me as much as I imagined. Most people were too busy worrying about themselves. Here lies the first paradox. The less you cling to external approval, the more peace you gain, and ironically, the more respect you earn. Chapter 2: Caring Less is Not Carelessness. Let's clarify. Stop caring doesn't mean recklessness. It doesn't mean you neglect your work, ignore your loved ones, or abandon discipline. It means something subtler: detachment from what you cannot control and from what does not matter. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus divided life into two categories: things up to us, our judgments, our actions; things not up to us, others' opinions, external outcomes, accidents of fate. Wisdom, he argued, is knowing the difference. To care less is to release the second category, the noise of opinions, the chase for constant validation, the obsession with results. This isn't giving up. It's freeing your mind to focus on the first category: your choices, your effort, your inner life. In my own practice, I found this distinction liberating. Instead of agonizing over whether a client would accept a proposal, I began asking, did I prepare thoroughly? Did I communicate clearly? Did I act with integrity? If yes, then the outcome, acceptance or rejection, was outside my control. Once I absorbed this truth, stress began to dissolve. Chapter 3: Confidence Unlocked. The video emphasizes this. The moment you stop trying to impress everyone, you unlock a power most people never find. Think of the most confident people you know. They don't beg for validation. They don't defend every choice. They simply own their presence. Why? Because confidence is not the absence of mistakes. It is the absence of fear about mistakes. Epictetus famously said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." When you stop fearing embarrassment, you stop being imprisoned by it. Imagine walking into a crowded room. Most people drown in self-doubt. Do I look okay? Am I saying the right thing? The person who stands out isn't the most fashionable or the loudest. It's the one at ease in their own skin. I once attended a high-stakes business pitch. Dozens of people presented with elaborate slides and frantic energy. Yet the speaker who impressed most wasn't the flashiest. It was the quiet man who spoke slowly, with conviction, unbothered by interruptions. He radiated assurance not because he was perfect, but because he wasn't desperate for approval. That is confidence. Not performance, but presence. Chapter 4: The Magnetic Pull of Calmness. Calmness is magnetic. People respect those who are unshaken by storms. The video illustrates this with a scenario. Someone challenges your idea in a meeting. The common reaction is panic, rushing to justify, over-explain, and defend. But the wiser move? Pause. Stay calm. Let silence do its work. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Detachment is strength, not weakness. The less you react, the more powerful you appear. I experienced this firsthand when a colleague publicly dismissed one of my ideas. My instinct was to argue. Instead, I chose silence. Hours later, several people approached me privately, saying they admired how I handled the situation. They noticed my composure. In that moment, I realized respect is commanded by restraint, not by defensiveness. Chapter 5. Respect comes from roots, not pleas. Respect cannot be begged, it is grown like a tree from deep roots of principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Respect comes not from winning arguments, but from staying anchored in values. The mistake many make is confusing loudness with strength. In truth, people respect the one who stays centered when criticized, who doesn't flinch under pressure. I once admired a mentor who, when unfairly accused in a group, didn't lash out. Instead, he calmly said, "That's not accurate, but I understand your concern." He then moved on. That single moment earned him more respect than any defensive speech ever could. When you stop needing to win every argument, you stop being controlled by others' provocations. You become free. Chapter 6. Letting go of control. Control is the great illusion. Most of our stress comes from trying to dominate what cannot be dominated: timing, outcomes, other people's opinions. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us and some are not." The video shared a story of someone passed over for promotion. His first instinct was outrage, but he chose restraint, focused on his work, kept professionalism. Months later, when the manager left, he was offered the role. This reflects a deeper truth. Forcing outcomes often backfires. Releasing control often opens doors. In my own life, I saw this in relationships. The more I tried to control how people perceived me, the more strained the connection. When I stopped pushing, simply showed up authentically, relationships deepened naturally. Chapter 7. The mind as a cluttered room. Your mind is like a cluttered room, the video says. When you clear it, you see opportunities. Overthinking is like hoarding. Every doubt, every fear, every hypothetical piles up until there's no space for clarity. Epictetus warned, "It's not things that disturb us, but our view of those things." Our perspective magnifies fear. For me, meditation revealed this truth. At first, my mind felt like a chaotic marketplace, but with practice, I began noticing the difference between real problems and invented ones. Most anxieties dissolved once I saw them for what they were: thoughts, not facts. Chapter 8. Progress beats perfection. The Stoics remind us wisdom is born from failure, reflection, and adjustment. Seneca said, "No man was ever wise by chance." Yet perfectionism paralyzes. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. That day never comes. The video rightly insists confidence is built through action, even messy action. I remember delaying launching a project because I wanted flawless design. After months, I released it imperfectly and received valuable feedback that improved it far beyond my private drafts. Perfection was never the goal. Progress was. This principle applies universally. Publish the article, apply for the job, start the workout. Action teaches faster than preparation. Chapter 9. The Silent Killer. Overthinking. Overthinking is like quicksand. The more you struggle inside your head, the deeper you sink. The video tells of a talented designer paralyzed by overanalysis, waiting for perfect conditions until opportunities slipped away. The Stoic antidote? Action. When in doubt, move. Even one small step shatters the cycle of hesitation. I practice this by asking, what's the next step I can take right now? Not the final solution, just the next step. Whether writing one paragraph or making one phone call, progress breaks paralysis. Confidence isn't thought into existence, it's acted into existence. Chapter 10. Freedom and Release. Seneca wrote, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." The future will always be uncertain. Attempting to control it only breeds misery. True freedom is learning to let go. When you stop resisting uncertainty, you stop suffering twice. Once from the event itself and once from your anticipation of it. I once spent weeks worrying about a speech. The event came and went. It lasted 20 minutes. But the mental suffering before it was far worse than the event itself. The Stoics are right. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Chapter 11. Modern Minimalism and the Stoic Way of Letting Go. In today's consumer-driven culture, minimalism has emerged as a counterweight, a philosophy of owning less and living more. While many treat it as an aesthetic, clean rooms, neutral colors, sparse furniture, at its core, minimalism resonates with ancient Stoic wisdom. Seneca wrote, It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. The Stoics did not argue for asceticism in the extreme sense, but rather for freedom from the slavery of possessions. A minimalist life is not about deprivation, it is about clarity. When you own fewer things, your attention is not scattered among maintenance, comparison, or the anxiety of keeping up. You reclaim energy for pursuits that matter: learning, relationships, creativity, inner peace. Modern psychology validates this ancient insight. Research on decision fatigue shows that too many choices drain mental energy. Owning fewer clothes, for instance, reduces cognitive load, explaining why successful figures like Steve Jobs wore the same outfit daily. In this sense, minimalism is not about aesthetic perfection, but about creating mental and emotional space to live deliberately. Letting go of excess possessions becomes a ritual of reclaiming autonomy. Every item you release is a reminder that your worth is not measured by accumulation, but by alignment with values. Chapter 12: The Art of Emotional Release. While physical possessions are the most visible burden, the heaviest chains are often emotional. Resentment, grudges, envy, and regret weigh more than gold. Marcus Aurelius observed, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive." Yet how many mornings are clouded by yesterday's bitterness? Stoicism teaches us that emotional suffering often comes not from events themselves, but from our interpretations. Epictetus noted, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." Thus, to let go emotionally is not to deny pain, but to reframe it. One practical method is journaling, a practice Marcus himself exemplified in Meditations. Writing down grievances or fears helps externalize them, transforming vague anxieties into words on paper, which can then be questioned, reframed, or discarded. Another technique is the Stoic exercise of the view from above. Imagine looking down from a cosmic vantage point. Your current quarrel, embarrassment, or resentment suddenly shrinks into insignificance against the vast timeline of human history. What once felt unbearable becomes laughably small. To release emotions is not to suppress them, but to process them wisely, so they no longer hold power over you. Chapter 13: Letting Go in Relationships. Perhaps nowhere is letting go more difficult than in human relationships. We cling to people, roles, and imagined futures. Yet all relationships, no matter how deep, are subject to change. Death, distance, or simply evolving paths can alter what once seemed eternal. The Stoics did not advise cold detachment, but realistic love. Epictetus wrote, "When you kiss your child, say to yourself, 'Tomorrow he may die.'" To modern ears, this sounds harsh, even cruel. But the wisdom lies in recognition. Everything we love is mortal. By remembering this truth, we paradoxically deepen love. We cherish without taking for granted. Clinging, on the other hand, often strangles relationships. We expect others to fulfill needs they cannot, or we resist their growth out of fear of loss. Letting go means accepting that love is a gift, not a guarantee. You cannot control whether someone stays, but you can control how openly, generously, and presently you show up in the time you share. This mindset does not diminish intimacy, but enriches it. When we let go of the illusion of permanence, we finally taste the sweetness of each fleeting moment. Chapter 14: Power, Control, and the Freedom of Release. Much of human conflict stems from the illusion of control. We grasp at outcomes, manipulate circumstances, or obsess over the actions of others. Yet the Stoics divided life into two realms: what is up to us, our thoughts, choices, virtues, and what is not, externals. The boundary is clear. Freedom lies in mastering the first, serenity in surrendering the second. Consider a promotion at work. You can prepare diligently, show competence, and embody integrity. But whether you are chosen depends on countless factors outside your control: politics, budgets, biases. To obsess over the outcome is to tie your peace to a coin toss. To release it after doing your best is to live freely. Letting go does not mean apathy, but trust. You trust that by focusing on your sphere of influence, your character, you have already won the only game that truly matters. As Epictetus put it, "You may fetter my leg, but my will not even Zeus himself can overpower." Chapter 15: The Paradox of Letting Go, Finding More by Having Less. The paradox at the heart of Stoicism is this: when you stop clinging, life expands. When you release fear of loss, you experience gratitude. When you let go of possessions, you find wealth and simplicity. When you surrender control, you discover inner strength. This is not a call to withdraw from the world, but to engage more fully. Letting go is not renunciation for its own sake. It is liberation for the sake of flourishing. You become like a bird freed from a cage, light, present, and able to soar. Contemporary studies echo this paradox. Research on well-being shows that beyond a certain threshold, material wealth does not increase happiness. Instead, meaning, purpose, and connection drive long-term fulfillment. Letting go of what does not matter makes room for what does. Thus, the practice of release is not subtraction, but addition, a subtraction of burdens, yielding an addition of peace. Chapter 16, The Courage of Release. To let go is not easy. It is, in fact, one of the most courageous acts. Society tells us to hold on, cling to possessions, defend pride, secure permanence. To release goes against instinct and culture, yet it is precisely this countercultural bravery that makes it transformative. Courage is not only rushing into battle, it is also the quiet act of saying, "This is not mine to hold." The courage to let go of a toxic relationship, of bitterness, of outdated dreams, or of the need for validation. Each release is an act of faith that life after letting go is not emptiness, but possibility. The Stoics remind us the universe is change, life is flux. Clinging to what is passing only ensures suffering. Releasing, we flow with the current, like a sailor who adjusts the sails rather than curses the wind. Closing reflections, the gift of letting go. If there is a single truth the Stoics offer across centuries, it is this: freedom lies not in acquiring, but in releasing. To let go is not to lose, it is to gain clarity, strength, and peace. We let go of possessions and find ourselves lighter. We let go of grudges and feel unchained. We let go of illusions of control and discover resilience. We let go of clinging to others and finally love them more purely. Letting go is not the end of something, it is the beginning of living fully, without fear. So tonight, as you close your